Karibu sana. From the Nairobi Stock Exchange, Mr. Jackson Kirinja, karibu sana. And the people will ensure that we invest home, invest Kenya. Mr. Pius Rotich, karibu sana. Pius, where are you? Please, karibu sana. So to kick off this session, please, karibu. I want to invite Mr. Rotich to make a very brief presentation. Where are we at as an economy? Where is the place of the Kenyan diaspora? What's the state of our economy? He's not going to read a budget speech. He's going to be very brief. So please, Mr. Rotich, please let's give us the opening remarks.
Yeah, thank you, Pelosi. Yes, and we're here today at least to tell our brothers and sisters from the diaspora where we are at the moment in terms of investment promotion. And we want to say that I'm here to represent John Mwelwa, our CEO of West Kenya, who is actually in South Africa right now for some engagements. And he has asked me to tell you that today's topic is very central to Kenya's vision, that is investment. And that Kenya stands at an exciting point in economic journey. We are a country of innovation, as you have seen, resilience and opportunities, strategically positioned as the gateway to East Africa. This evening, I would like to share why Kenya continues to attract investors around the world. Today, we invite you to look beyond remittances and explore how you can become partners in building Kenya's future. So, as you can see in that slide, you realize that the Kenya investment story is backed by strong fundamentals. You can see our economy is growing now, valued at about USD 147 billion, and we are home to over 56 million people. Our economy continues to grow, record average of about 5%, and Kenya is also Africa's leading startup ecosystem, attracting more venture capital, funding and innovation. Most importantly, the government has set up an ambitious program to attract 10 billion investors. Slide number 3, you will realize that Kenya diaspora is one of our nation's greatest strategic assets. That is the reason why we are here today. Today, more than 4 million Kenyans live and work abroad. Together, they represent a global network of professionals, entrepreneurs, innovators, and investors. In 2025, we remitted about $5 billion US, making Kenya's single largest source of foreign exchange. The US is actually the biggest with 2.73 billion. While these inflows has supported families and communities, we are now creating pathways to channel a greater portion into productive sectors. Through diaspora investment strategy, we are moving from remittance to relationship and investment-driven partnership. The diaspora is no longer simply supporting Kenyans from abroad, but is becoming a key driver of Kenya's economic future. The next slide tells us what has actually support, what we have developed opportunities for the diaspora. And first one is actually you can invest directly in business across priority sectors, agribusiness, manufacturing, technology, renewable energy, healthcare, and so on and so forth. Number 2 is participation in capital markets through treasury bonds, infrastructure bonds, and I'm happy that NSC is here. The third one is housing and real estate, which remains one of the most attractive investment options for the country. And government housing programs and diaspora mortgage products are actually making property ownership easier and more secure than before. The fourth one is the landmark diaspora bond, which is being launched in 2026. This initiative is expected to mobilize between 200 million to 500 million US. Together, these channels provide flexible opportunities for investors in different sizes and interests. At Invest Kenya, we understand that investors need more than opportunities, they need support. That is why we serve Kenya as one-stop center for investment facilitation. First, First, at Invest Kenya, we help the risk investment by providing investment protection mechanisms, facilitating access to incentives, and advocating for a community business environment. Second, we simplify investor journey by contributing licenses, work permits, company registration, land access, and so on and so forth. And third, we provide aftercare services to ensure investors can establish, operate, expand, and reinvest successfully. And the fourth one is the business climate, which Kenya Investment Authority works to make sure that the government actually creates a business and a conducive business environment in the country. Our role is not only to attract investors, but also to ensure that businesses are successful. When you invest in Kenya, you gain a partner committed to helping you investment thrive. We call upon you, ladies and gentlemen, that Kenya offers a stable economic environment, political environment, a strategic location, a young and talented workforce, expanding infrastructure, and access to one of the world's fastest working markets. The diaspora has already demonstrated tremendous confidence in Kenya through record remittance inflows. The next step is now to convert that confidence into investment. We invite you to partner with us to explore opportunities available and become part of Kenya's next chapter of economic transformation. Finally, Kenya is no longer simply a destination where the diaspora sends money home. Kenya is a destination where the diaspora can build wealth, create jobs, own assets, and shape the future of our nation. The opportunity is here. The time is now. Karibuni nyumbani to the Republic, Jamhuri, and welcome to Invest in Kenya. Before I sit down, I would like to say that I'm actually one of the diasporans, and in those days, at least for now, the government of Kenya has actually made it easier for you to send money home. Right now, I can actually send my pay school fees for my son while in the US, while I'm sitting somewhere in the village in Kaplong. But those days, when we used to be in Europe, I used to stay in Germany, we could actually pull together. When Nigerians are going back home, we could lend them all our money to go there. And you are not sure if he's going to come back. And then the next round, I'm the one who receives the large part of the money and I come back to Nairobi. They don't know how I will go back there. So it used to be trust, but right now, the government of Kenya has made opportunities available so that you can link up easily with your counterparts here in Nairobi, invest in Kenya so that you can be able to actually progress. And the only available money transfer was Western Union, and you know how it was difficult to actually process your money through Western Union. So I'm actually saying that the Kenya government has done well, and we hope that once you go back to your stations, please take back a good report about the country, and Invest Kenya is there to work with you so that you can be able to invest in Kenya. We do not want also you to send money to your families, because they will take pictures and send you very beautiful investments, but work with the right institution so that your money is very safe. Thank you and be blessed.
Thank you very much, Bwana Rotich. Is the mic, are we audible? You can hear us? Thank you very much, Bwana Rotich. That was going to be the only speech we are going to listen to today, that of the PS. But Mr. Rotich, since we are neighbors at Old Mutual, I decided for him to claim it set. So thank you very much, Bwana Rotich, for that. I shall be asking you, Bwana Rotich, about this so-called one-stop shop for investors. I think these people have different stories about how they move from office to office. Some of them will talk about their experiences, so be ready for that. So I want the other panelists to very quickly introduce themselves, who you are, what you do. Just 1 minute, then we can go to the Q&A. I'll begin with Bwana Iredi.
Thank you very much. All right, thank you. That's good. The PS, all the ambassadors, fellow diasporans, because I still pay taxes in Trumpland. My name is Samuel Lireri. I'm from Embu County. Been in the US, living in the US for quite some time, about 24 years. Then I decided I needed to come back home. In the US, I was in banking. I was working for JP Morgan. Then I decided to come back home. Now I work for Equity Group. as the Group Head of International Banking and Payments, all diaspora banking, cross-border payments, as well as where we're going to now into stablecoins and all that. So that's what I do. I relocated back. I'm based here in Nairobi, at Upper Hill. But then I still have some young ones still in the US that I pay taxes for and school fees for. So I'm still a diasporan. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our PS, ambassadors, our distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and our guests today, the diaspora. Good evening. My name is Lucy Muraya from the State Department of Diaspora Affairs. I work at the Savings, Investment and Remittance Division of the State Department of Diaspora Affairs, and I'm also spearheading the Diaspora Investment Support Office, what we call DISO. Thank you, Karibuni.
Madam PS, ambassadors, ladies and gentlemen. First, I have to congratulate Barozi. He was my ambassador for a long time, one of the best ambassadors we have ever had in Australia. I've been there for 36 years. We started as 5 Kenyans. Now you can't count how many there are in Australia. I also happened to be host the first president. I think Barozi accompanied the former late President Mwai Kibaki, the first Chogam in Australia. So I was lucky to have that privilege. I chair the Kenya Australian Chamber of Commerce. I'm also chair several boards here in Kenya. And I was also one of diaspora to be asked to come back to kickstart the mining industry in Kenya, which I've done in the last 36 years in Australia. We did a good job. We are the one who did the geo-survey mapping. We did a strategy for 2030 or beyond. And we believe that the industry will come to fruition very soon. Apart from that, I think I said my name, Stephen Kuria, and I'm proud to be here, and thanks for hosting us today.
Thank you very much. To the PS, the ambassadors present, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I don't know whether this mic is clear. Can you hear me? It's different. Sorry for that. My name is Jackson Kemije. I work for the Nairobi Securities Exchange, an employer that I am proud and happy to work for the past 22 years. I focus on retail market development, which also focuses on circles, investment groups, and the diaspora is part of the bigger community that I service. One of the biggest joys to come here to this event because it comes at a time when we were actually in discussion with the ministry of how we can be able to set up a continuous enabling environment for our diaspora people to be able to invest seamlessly. I am also very happy to say that we've seen quite exciting times for us as a market. I believe for the past 3 years, the changes and the environment that people have experienced in this market are amazing. Ours is to encourage you to come the market. Our area of focus is really providing an investment opportunity to every Kenyan, wherever they are in this world, in a seamless, effective way that is secure and that gives you some good return. So we'll be discussing that, but I'm happy to be here and happy to be part of this congregation and this conversation. Thank you.
Asante sana Bwana Kiminja. I will go straight to you, Bwana Kiminja, from what you've been talking about. A lot of these diasporans, when they think investments, a lot of times people think real estate. Out of the remittances that you guys send back home, 80% goes into consumption. Very critical to pay for healthcare, to pay for
bills, to pay for fees, to just help your people. We have been challenged to increase the level of investments, but these people cannot invest in other investments without seeing what kind of products and how do you see yourself as an enabler of the diasporans to make investments, and what's your advice to them when they're dealing with the Nairobi Stock Exchange? For example, are you online? Can they trade from the comfort of their houses in New York or Scotland? Maybe you can begin with that.
Thank you very much, Ambassador, for that question. As a market, we focus on 3 or 4 areas of support of our customers. More so for the large investment community we have. Remembering that NSC is really a center of where capital comes to meet the opportunities of investing. So in the stock market, the first thing that we focus on largely is knowledge. Are you knowledgeable enough to be able to make the right decision and focus on the right investment opportunity? Now, the second thing that we focus on is access, what Ambassador is talking about. How convenient, how efficient is it for me to be able to invest my money back home? And number 3 is, as much as we are talking about that, you can have the knowledge, there is the access availability. How safe is my investment? I mean, when we were growing up, and even now, we hear stories of people who worked and they came back home after the year and sent their money to their brothers, their sisters, to be able to invest in their houses, and they come back to no investment. So safety of your investment becomes a very fundamental conversation that we have to pick. And of course, finally, is the return. I always, and I love this thinking that the value of investing is not to look nice. The value of investing is to make. I think I might have used the long one. Somebody was upcharging me, or maybe somebody was given money to construct for another, we don't know. But back to our conversation, you talk about I think the mic coordinator is having some hidden agenda, but I'll still say the truth. So back to the conversation about the security of your investment. It is important that you deal with the right channels for the right investment products. And finally, the return. I say that there is no sentimental attachment to investment. It's not emotional. It is, I have given you money. If I give you 1 million Kenya shillings, the risk I expect from that investment is 1 million shilling plus 1. Having taken care of your costs, having taken care of your operational experiences or expenditures, what I need is, I need my million, first of all, intact. And the best you can do is giving me a 1 million that is above the inflation rate of that country that I've invested in. So in terms of NSC, what are you doing about knowledge? This is one of the forums that we are saying that we are participating in. We are crafting messaging and programs that address people from the age of 12 years. Actually, our youngest group that we target through a program we call the Teens Program is a group aged 12 years. That program targets 12 years to 17. Then we have programs for the local Kenyans. We have programs for the diaspora. Like now, we have road shows. We have webinars that we are conducting for the diaspora. And we are also very keen now. For us to scale up, we are moving now to the next level, which we are now engaging with the ministries that are involved with managing what you call aggregators. One of our very key focus this second half of the year is how can we work with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to be able to link us with institutions or organizations that are handling diaspora people and directly without having intermediaries, because we are credible institutions and we are very careful not to go through parties that are not 100% trusted, not in a bad way, but it's good to know that we are dealing with the right people and with the right organizations. Then we're also very keen now to start encouraging the diaspora people to actually consider coming back to the Kenyan investment space as groups. What do we mean by this? When you go and form the diaspora group like my brother here in Australia, one of the mandate is social activities. Like you want to ensure that in case one of you has issues, you can be able to support them. In case one of you needs a celebration or like this summit celebrate, you can come in. But what is the most critical thing in a human life, apart from being healthy? It is having resources. So we're encouraging diaspora organizations to actually consider investment as part of your key mandate as a welfare organization. Because I find it very complex when I lose a loved one, people come and contribute money. But the same people could not show me how to make that money when I was alive. So you contribute 10 million, but you never showed me how to make 10 million. So should we be contributing or making you financially sufficient to be able to do those things? So diaspora organization presented here, diaspora institutions that are seated here, consider financial inclusion and investment as a pool of opportunity for you. Why is this? If today you have 100 Kenyans sitting in an organization, each contributing 100,000, that is enough money to invest in a pooled fund. And like when you're saying you're investing alone, you have only your 100,000. When you are a bigger group of people, you have a bigger negotiation plan. But we are playing also very safe in terms of how you are structured. I met a group of Kenyans sometimes last year. People have contributed like 100 million, and that money is invested in the name of officials. The lawyers in the room will tell you, if any of the officials die, then the money belongs to the remaining officials. So NSC has taken it upon itself through Jackson as the team leader for Chamas at Investment Group to actually work with different institutions so that you can be able to structure you appropriately to invest your money as a group. Then the next thing that we're also trying to create in these groups is vision. I think it is good to celebrate that you are coming back to Kenya, but it's also good to celebrate you're coming to a happy life through knowing that you have institutions that you have created that can enable you to live a better life. And we are doing the same for the circle. So that's the bigger scope of the things that you're doing. But the most important thing is to say we are very keen and we appreciate the diaspora community in terms of how they're supporting our market. But our request is one, convert the remittance to investment. Life will be better. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you much, Bwana Kiminja. Pool investments. As you said, $1,000 in your pocket may not sound like much, but when you pull your resources together, you're able to make these investment decisions. One of the issues we'll be talking about later is trust. I mean, how do we build trust among ourselves? We have seen some of the communities that have made very good pool investments. The element of trust is very big. But Mr. Rotich, I'll come back to you on the issue of the one-stop shop. I think it's one of the questions that I saw emerging from those of you who made the presentations. How can the diaspora stop being moved from office to office? But before you give an answer, Steve, you've been away for the last 36 years, but I still keep seeing you around. I would like to know what you're doing. What are you looking for? What is it that Australia is not offering you? What opportunities are you seeing? And could you also speak briefly to the issue of new age industries? As a country, we've been talking about mining for very many years. Sometimes you see traction. What role can the diaspora play? Because I have no doubt that in the next few years, mining is going to be one of the biggest industries in this country. How can they piggy bank into that very promising sector? Thank you.
Thank you. Barozi know my wife, so those questions he asked why I'm here. Maybe alitumwa mahali. Thank you again, Barozi. I think for me, I like what I hear from Stock Exchange. I have to be proud to say the Australian diaspora is highest remittance per capita to Kenya. And my friends from US, Jogona there, don't want to believe so because they have the numbers, but we have the money. In fact, when President Kicc came, told us it's the first time he has seen diaspora and he don't want us to come back, he wants us to stay there. So I've stayed there, even when I was working in the government, but I'm still coming back. Here in Kenya, I run several businesses. In energy industry, we're doing quite a lot with capacity building, Kicc and GDC, because that others in private banks here in Nairobi. So that keep me busy. Contras or Emirates love me coming back and forth. Every time I hear, I tell Kenyans that it's 18 hours to go back home. They ask me how long it takes. It's too long. I think that's what Mr. Jogona say. I like this concept of thinking outside the box. For many years, you think diaspora, we just want a kaprot in Nanyuki, a kaprot in Kitengera. And now I see all the banks running around to Australia trying to, sorry Samuel, trying to sell their bank account. They forget a lot of things that we have matured. For Australian diaspora, we have even moved beyond just to Proti, to where we have several businesses in Kenya. I know in Kericho we have one of diaspora set up a milk plant there, competing with Brookside. I know a mining group in Siaya who is getting 200 kilograms of gold every month. So we have moved beyond point of just buying port, of just involving a business. But this is a Kicc, and I like the gentleman from stock exchange. We are now moving to where we are looking for funds, like infrastructure funds, mining funds, where we don't just tell diaspora, get together and come and invest. How about organizing them in a one interest group? Basically, as you said, money does not have emotions. If you are returning for me 20%, which is one of the mine sites here, return 20% USD, why can an Australian not invest here? But now, if you are asking me to compete on a small amount, then I'll ask myself, why do I need to come here? The other area which I like to see, for instance, Australia, we are very good in agriculture. And I'll come back to mining because it's my forte. One of the Australians lead the dry farming here in Machakos. We want to cluster our people who are already experts in Australia. Why can't we organize where they can go to those dry places, Mbere, Samuel, and we're able to put together this ranch or a plant where we can actually apply these skills of dry farming. So it's not just us coming as students, because we have already passed that stage. And lastly is mining. I happen to do the geomap of this country. This country is very rich. We keep looking up to find AIDS and all the other things. I was just telling Samuel, when I was a chair, I happened to go to Mbere. I climbed a mountain there for 2 hours to find where cotton is coming from. When I went there, I find in the middle of the mountain have been cut surgically by Chinese. And I asked these people who are helping us, how do the Chinese even know this hill? And how are they even moving from this to go up there? They say, no. They give us money. We carry their equipment up there. They live with a sack, and they use the Burundian to do the coltan mining. Now, when you look at it, there's no roads there because it's quite places need improvement somewhere when you become a senator. There's no improvement there. So how do these people have more data than me, who is the chairman of the minerals in Kenya? And that's a challenge because we look at our diaspora as our enemies. I know over 200 Kenyans in Australia who are in mining. We can surgically do our own and mine our own. I was speaking at the mining conference when I came back about 3 or 4 months ago. All the government in Africa are talking about, let's process inside. Morima Hills, which a lot of people have conversation, it has uranium in it. You cannot process uranium with no skills because actually the chemical itself, when we operate a mine called Leaping Dams in Australia, you have to shower like 15 times. Do we have that capacity to be able to process that? Why don't we use our skills? Last and not least, as I said, from West Pokot, it's actually hot with gold now. Homa Hills in Homa Bay, there is a rush of gold right now. You go to a place called the Bell in Moyale, there is rush of gold. Yet, you see someone from Ikoromani coming to Nairobi and leave people to come and mine on their area and come and look for a security job here in Nairobi. Because we are not also educating our people. How do you mine? How do you start small? That group that started in Siaya, I said, don't start big. Don't let everybody knows. Just start small. We show you how to do artisanal, and slowly you can be able to expand. Turkana is the same. So this country is rich, just trying to figure out how you can capitalize. But that's for individual, but what about for the country? I know we have able PS, Kemutai, and also the CS, and we are going for them. But there is a lot of good opportunities here. Thank you, Barozi. I hope I answered your question.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Steve. Pulling resources again, you know, you are strong as your team is. You are strong as your investment club is. So, and I want to go to Lucy. DISO, Diaspora Investment Support Office, and PS Roslyn Kadure Njogu. What is it? What are you telling? What are you promising these good people? What's in it for them? Is it a new office? Is it something that they can knock a door and be told this is what DISO is all about? Karibu, Lucy.
Thank you very much, Balozi, and thank you, everyone. I think I've gotten a lot from my fellow panelists here, and I think this office is set up for the right target. The Diaspora Investment Support Office is set up as a state corporation under the State Department of Diaspora Affairs, and it was established last year under Executive Order Number 1 of 2025. The aim of the office is to facilitate, to promote, and even to protect diaspora investment in Kenya. As we've heard even from our first presenter, from my colleague from Keninvest, the issue of diaspora investment in Kenya. Most of the diaspora are shy from investing in Kenya, mainly because of trust issues. As we are all aware, most of them are going for plots. At least I think Australia are doing better. I don't know whether we'll have a fight with the US. They are our largest remittance. They are the ones who have the largest contributor of remittance, around 55% in Kenya. But we appreciate even the role of Australia the highest per capita remittance to Kenya. So we want to encourage our diaspora to invest in Kenya, and we'll be holding their hands, provide all the information that they require about investment, taking up some of the incentives, trying to have incentives for the diaspora to invest in Kenya, and looking for having those pooled investments. I am happy that one of our panelists is from NSC, and there's a lot that is being done in that space in terms of pooling investments in Kenya. We also looking at something like having a diaspora bond. We were to issue the diaspora bond, and we are still to issue the diaspora investment bond, where the diaspora can come together and fund government for a specific infrastructure. So there's a lot that the office is going to offer. It's going to be a one-stop shop where the diaspora can get all the information, hold their hands as they invest in Kenya, provide aftercare services, help them in dispute resolution. I promise you we are not going to be police, but we are going to take you through even as you solve your disputes in the local investment. We're also looking at matchmaking. Currently, we even have some of our local entrepreneurs who want to be linked with the diaspora investors so that they can invest in their businesses. And some are doing very well. Some of them are lacking capital, others are lacking expertise. And so we are looking up at our diaspora to be able to invest in local businesses, to support our local entrepreneurs. And in the process, we're also going to do due diligence on the local entrepreneurs just to ensure that whoever you are matched up with is someone who is credible. And as we also do the due diligence from your side, as to ensure that also our local investors are protected. There's much more that is in the office, and we are going to be engaging. The office is currently in the process of being operationalized, but we are still doing the work even as we fully operationalize the Diaspora Investment Support Office. Thank you, Balozi.
Thank you very much, Lucy. Matchmaking. Some people have great ideas, but they are broke. Other guys have lots of money and zero ideas. So let's try and hook you guys up together. I think it's a beautiful idea. We really know, especially among our Kenyan youth, beautiful ideas. People just need that small push. Asante sana, Lucy. Bwana Ireri, 24 years out there. One day you decide to pack your bags and come back home. Maybe you can briefly tell us what decision making was going through your mind as being in a place for 25 years as a diasporian and being thrown at the roundabout of Bunyala Road or Kenyatta Avenue. So what was that experience? And then what opportunities, since you came back home, what opportunities can you pick?
Thank you, Balozi. I'll tell you, it's not fun getting stuck on Bunyala Road early in the morning and you have a board meeting at 8 and you see another Prado with lights passing by, and I hope it's not PS passing by, but on the wrong side. But anyway, that is Kenya. Welcome to Kenya. 24 years in the US. I moved there, I think I was about 5. Anyway, I was right after high school. I moved back to the US at that time for further studies. Stayed there, got acclimated to the system there, how things work, start a family. And every single time, and this is where I think the biggest issue comes, especially for those who are millennials like me, you grew up in Kenya when your parent, either your father was working. At that time, a few of the mothers had started working too as well. Most of the time, they're still taking care of the household. Your father comes home, reads the newspaper, watches the news, waiting for food. That is the kind of life that you know. And then you go to the US, you start a family, and your wife throws the baby at you with diapers and all that, and you have to change that, and she has to go to work, you have to stay home, no nannies. So you kind of get confused in between there. What kind of life do I want? Do I want to live in this country that is so fast-paced that you don't enjoy the lifestyle of your parents? And that is, depending. Or do I want to go home? And then you realize when you come home, there's no difference. The ladies who are getting married now, the ladies who are millennials are also working. And so you have to figure it out. Yes, you have house managers, as we call them here in Kenya. But still, you have CBC, you have to get involved with homework and everything, just like the US. But when I was in the US, of course, I was in touch with my family that was back here, relatives that are back here. And you hear stories, and you start thinking, I send this money, it goes home, what do I do? How do I make an impact? So come 2022, some of you in this room, I see, we were very involved in the UDA politics. Some of us came back, helped with that politics. And in 2022, actually 2021, when we were doing campaigns, I was able to go places in my village. As you heard, I'm from Mbere. And Mbere is very dry. We are not many of us as Mberans. But then you go to a place where a kid is sitting under a tree trying to learn, and you ask yourself, how does this child compete with my son or my daughter in the US in this world of AI where we're innovating? And so you say, I can try to help my village. I can start a foundation. I can pump money when I'm in the US for that foundation. I can rally a few friends. But then there's a difference in the impact when you are on the ground. And you're seeing the work that you're doing, and people appreciate every single day. It might be small, but you being on the ground, it makes a huge difference. And then I started now thinking, I really want to move back home. And when I move back home, what do? I've been in banking for about 18 years now. Worked for major banks, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo's. So I was like, if I go back home, am I going back to banking, or am I going back to do business as everybody does business? And in my day, I was among those in 2008 when the market was crashing. I was doing real estate at that time. So real estate is what I knew. And with real estate, your return on investment, it takes time, right? I thought of other businesses. I have friends who have relocated, and then 6 months, they move back. Or 1 year later, they move back. And so for me, it was a thing of, do I make the jump? Don't I make the jump? And when I consulted my family, of course, they were very skeptical of moving back because of social media. You see what's happening on social media. You're told, oh, you'll pay SHA, all these things, and you don't understand them. But when you're on the ground, you really start understanding why you pay for those things. So it was a struggle until I started bringing my family back and forth and them seeing exactly the picture. So for my kids, before when they came here, there was issues of internet. Wi-Fi doesn't work back home in Mbere. Why am I here? It's too hot. There are no malls around. But now when they start coming, they go to malls here. We have better malls here than the US. Because I was in Minneapolis where we have the biggest Mall of America, right? And you can compare it. You can go to Isili and see the mall there is even much better. So those things, that mind shift of how your country looks like. And then what accelerated that too is things that have been done by the government. Being in banking, investments, before it was so hard, and I regret this. I wish I knew when I was in real estate in 2002, 2004. As a very young kid, made a lot of money. But we knew money was always there because, you close on a house, you get $10,000 instantly. Tomorrow, you close another one. And so I used to see the older folks come back and buy land and all that. But nobody during those times, especially from, I'm sorry to say, our ambassadors and the government itself, who could educate people that you can go and invest back home and there are easier ways of doing it. If you want to open up a company, it took a long time. Nowadays, before I came from the US, it takes you roughly 20 minutes to open up a company online. And then you wait a day or two, your name is checked, all that, you get an email. If you need to correct something, you do it there, you pay your 10,000 Kenyan shillings, boom, you have an LLC. And from there, things open up. They get you a KRA PIN directly to your email. You don't have to bother anything. You get to eCitizen. When you log in, you can see your personal KRA PIN. You can see your businesses. You can pay your taxes there. Everything has been made so easy. So that is the difference between me wanting to move back a while ago and now. And then the other thing too, I was really agitated, and I know diasporans are, because I remember when we were campaigning and all that, we wanted a different country. We wanted to change. And those of us who moved when, the late President Moi was still in power, you had a different mindset of, a different thinking of how Kenya looks like, right? And that's why you find, because I work for Equity Bank, and one of the things we've been trying to do is define the personas of diaspora. Who's a diasporan? Because they're all not equal. There are people, if we go with age groups then, you'll find those who moved during the Moi era, they think very differently about the country than those who moved during the Kibaki era, the Uhuru era, and now. And so those kind of things, those barriers of thinking is what I also wanted to break and be an example of you can go back to your country, you can make a difference. So when I came here, I started working for Equity Bank. And with Equity Group, being in charge of 8 countries, you also see that it's not Kenyans only who are thinking that way. Tanzanians and everybody else. And so one of the key things we're also doing, if you just give me an extra minute just to talk about Equity Bank, is trying to see how do we even open investments for Kenya. But if you're a Kenyan, we have this strategy for 2030 called African Recovery and Resilience Plan, whereby Africa is being built and rebuilt by its own people. So if you're a Kenyan, can I open a market for you in Tanzania? In DRC right now, businesses are doing very well. Actually, DRC is one of our subsidiaries that we think is going to overtake the Kenyan subsidiary in 2027 because of the growth of that. So you see, how do we do that? If we're investing in Kenya, can we open up other markets for you and all that? So those are kind of things. And then out of that agitation, I also decided, yes, as you heard from Stephen here, I'm going to run for Senate for Embu. And those are the reasons from being a, and that seat, thank you. And that seat is not as just for Embu County. It's a diaspora Senate seat to give the diasporans a platform for us to be able to champion things with with parliamentarians who think from a diaspora standpoint. What can we be able to change this country to look like other countries out there that we've lived? So those are the few things that made me move back. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wanaireri. I would have never guessed that you had political inclinations. The platform, maybe umepata kura kama 5 hivi hapa leo. Sio mingi vile, but thank you so much for that insight about your journey coming back. I'm now going to the issue of one-stop shop. Is there somebody who has had an experience trying to do business here, so that Mr. Rotich can answer to the whole issue of, is there somebody who would like to share their personal experience trying to register, trying to do business here, being moved from office to office? Maybe you may be a better... Yes, please tell us what... very briefly, we need to have some dinner soon.
Yeah, hello, hi, good evening. My name is Masi Kamanja, and I've been working in Kenya as trying to support establishing businesses, not just for me, my personal. Thank you. Yeah, my name is Mercy Kamanja, and I'm based in UK, in Scotland, and I've been working with the State Department of Diaspora Affairs, supporting various projects to come and get registered here, mostly foreign direct investment. And part of that now, I also had to register my own organization that I'll be able to work with the foreign direct investment and the government here as a credit organization. And it is a nightmare to come and register here, because in the beginning, before the State Department of Diaspora Affairs was formed, you come here and you don't even know where to start. But the State Department of Diaspora Affairs, what it has taught me and the experience I've had with them is that now it has offered the diasporians that peace of mind, because the department has got so many, even if it is just a department it is own, it has got so many branches within that one department. So if you come in to invest here and you want to invest in real estate, they have got a team, they will allocate you to work with you, to be able to walk the walk with you in that area of real estate, starting from supporting you with the government structure, supporting you with licensing, and even guiding you and connecting with the other department of the government to be able to sit down. You know, it is like the State Department of Diaspora Affairs has given us that soft landing, not only for the diaspora's direct investment, but also for foreign direct investors. Many people have been approaching me and they ask me, how do I come to Kenya and invest? And many people come to me. But now I'm telling them, now we don't even have to worry. We have got the State Department of Diaspora Affairs that has been set up. And these are the people that has held my hand. It was not just only even staying in the business, even getting to get your passport documentation, even to go and locate where to buy, even connecting with the right bank to be able to give you the right loan. The State Department of Diaspora Affairs has become that one-stop shop that is for us all. And maybe what they might improve to do is they might want to put desks in one of their corners, where if you are diaspora and you want to have access to an office, we can come and use maybe some few hours in the day, and a cafeteria where they cook chapati ng'ombe, you know, mchele, tunaburudika, and then invite us that we back home. Thank you very much.
Thank you much, Mercy. One-stop shop. Yes, the Diaspora Lounge will definitely be up and running by NPS.
I think that's your monkey.
Then, just very briefly, experience so that Mr. Rotich, prepare to answer that, please. The one-stop shop. Can people come to Old Mutual, whether it's to Ken Invest, whether it's to Daiso, and get all their stuff done?
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm Lady Jacqueline, and my main concern, I think the issue asked was whether we find trouble, processing perhaps the starting a company, registration of companies. I think the main issue as a woman is that we struggle. There are struggles that women have when we try to come and invest in Kenya. And apart from that, when you're relocating, the landscape is tougher for us. I'm also a returnee. I came back last year, March. I also spent around the same number of years in the United Kingdom as a teacher and a lecturer. I think that the panel could have benefited from a female voice, because our experiences as women when we come back are totally different. When I look at the panel, I see privilege, you understand? And I think we needed that female representation. So next time, perhaps consider that, please. Thank you.
Asante sana. Sorry about that oversight we made. Privilege? I'm not sure that these guys look good. Mzee, tuambie kwa ufupi.
Good evening, distinguished BS and ambassadors, our comrade diasporas. Good evening. And me, I just want to give a preview of what I had from there. If we go for personal experience of what each individual went through or ought to go through, I think it's very common. But just to encounter what we had from there, if we talk of remittance, the economy side, the necessity is to have a public and private partnership. The diaspora is looking for a county. We have 47 at the moment. We are looking for 48 county where we can have a governor and all the elements of a county. That is a bigger picture. Also, we have other elements that we need. For example, in partnership, we have Birdview Insurance, where at the moment, initially, they're bringing our dead bodies from abroad and to have a dignity burial at home. So that is the kind of diaspora, the big picture we're looking at. Now, with this remittance, again, it is a power, because in our research and experience, whenever we have a local contestant, even from the locality, they come to abroad and say, I need a diaspora vote. Why? Because you are helping so many people. You mentioned here our money is consumed from the local, and the power starts from the locals. So we have a very powerful voice from the locality. And we have that when President Ruto came to UK and he was checking our votes, we have reassured him the diaspora vote before he became a president. And we have toward this project now, we have seen something with our own eyes. So we are still observing, and I cannot conclude on behalf of my diaspora, but we are observing the project that has been done by this president. So we have a power again with our remittance. So we cannot be ignored. In terms of trust, it's a bureaucracy. The paperwork, this is still there. The president is fighting, but whenever we try, from the charity perspective, we also mention many diaspora mentioned during the president, when we met the president, that when we want to ship something like medical aids, even if you consult our governors, to get access to your local, your representatives, is very difficult. Some of them, even from the rural areas, as far from Northeastern, they are based in Nairobi. You cannot get access to MCA. And this is the BS. To take it to the president that these people who are the representatives must be answerable to their people from the locality. They must have the offices where they have been voted for. They must have a channel of communication. So this is the government. If it works with all its communities from abroad and here, this is a broad base. There's a channel of communication that needs to work. Now the risk, we didn't talk about the risk because there are so many things that you said it's over to us. The bond, all this housing, affordable, these things, there's a risk involved. Because we saw some buildings built up to 16 flats and then falling. People have been taking their money and then it's falling. Diaspora are involved. The nature of this, they're not monitored. These buildings, they're not monitored. There's no, for example, we saw one flat sold to many people, more than even 50 people. One is in Canada, one is in Australia, one is in Europe. They are told, you are sold to this, you are sold to this. When we come, when we don't get, the person don't get the rent, then some people will travel. At one time, people will meet in the same door. So many people, it is not monitored. It has to be evaluated and monitored. Element of surprise. The president, when we came to him, he gave us an element of surprise to say that all this project I'm doing is done with Kenya money. There's no donor, there's no loan. He told us that it was an element of surprise to myself. It was an element of surprise. Now in this innovation, this big conference, we're looking for the government to say, look, in world government, they look into when they're doing this thing. They look for first buyers, second buyers, third buyers. So they make easy for the first buyers. So we are looking from this perspective, what are you going to give us the first buyers? From all this you are telling us. And then one-stop shop. It's a good idea and ideal. But are we going to get what we are asking you? How easy is it to get all these services? The bond, if I want, it is online. Is it how many layers of levels? All this you are telling us you can get it. It has to be accessible to all. And from the disability perspective, the woman said, we're also looking into something of the surprise from all these things you are making us available.
Asante sana. Thank you very much for. Sorry, I know we need to move to the next panel, and of course the guys are getting hungry. So, sorry, I know I saw a number of hands. Apologies. We need to move to the next panel. Panarotich, one-stop shop. The issue of trust how does government work on just trying to bridge this issue of trust? Very briefly, then we wind up.
Okay, thank you very much, Balozi. First of all, Bwana, when diaspora bond come for listing, let's talk to the diasporans so that we are able to build infrastructure, so that we are able to to complete Rironi Expressway, Thika Expressway, so that Mr. Rotich and Madam Nya does not zoom past you. So we want to say that we are the Kenya Investment Authority. We want to confirm that we understand the diasporans. We know that you don't need only opportunities, but you need support. The one-stop shop at Invest Kenya. Madam, I would like to let you know that about a week ago, we have been discussing with Balozi, and we are seeing how we can strengthen the DISO and the one-stop shop at Invest Kenya. And Invest Kenya, so that because diasporans to us are very important constituency. It is very important to us. China was built by diasporans. India was built by diasporans. Philippines is being built by diaspora. Kenya, we also want our diasporans to support us to build it. I showed you the amount of money which diasporans send. It's actually the biggest exchange earner, foreign exchange earner, and we are proud to be with you. And especially we as leaders, we want to work with you so that we can be able to actually attract money and investments from diaspora. From the one-stop center, which we want to work with DISO, because we have been there for quite some time, and we want DISO to grow up so that they can focus on diaspora, and then we actually are meeting somewhere, because for us, we are actually dealing with big investors. In this case, just like Mercy said, she can be able to come to the one-stop center. Maybe DISO could be handling the diaspora section only, but we go bigger than the diaspora support, and we go to really big-time investors. And in this case, so the one-stop center at Invest Kenya will help you to de-risk investments by providing investment protection mechanisms. We facilitate incentives, the one we have been asked here. We facilitate incentives. So work with us so that you can get all those incentives. We advocate for a competitive business environment. So just like my brother has just talked there, whatever problems you have, please reach out to us by email, by phone call, by anything. Don't talk to the street. Talk to us, Invest Kenya, and the Office of the PS Diaspora. We will be able to handle you, because if you talk to anybody in the street, you are actually talking to the streets. But if you talk to us, you are talking to the government, and we shall take responsibility for whatever happens there. For us, we are not asking for kitu kidogo. We are above that, and we have zero tolerance to corruption. We respond to you within 24 hours in that one-stop center, and therefore, you have the responsibility of taking us to be accountable. We simplify the investment journey by coordinating licenses. We assist you for work permits, company registration, because we want to tell you that Office of the Company Registrar is at Invest Kenya. She sits there. Agnes sits there. The things she does for there is to support investors to register. Office of Kenya Revenue Authority for tax registration and everything pertaining to taxations, customs, and so on and so forth. We have a fully fledged office at Invest Kenya to support other than investors and diasporans in this case. Land access, of course, we work with the Ministry of Land. Utility connections, KPLC is there. We have NEMA, Special Economic Zone, SEZ. And we have what we call deal room, which we actually fast-track investors there. Finally, we provide also aftercare services. Once you invest, we don't want you to go and just be there in the bush. We want to see you growing, because our business as government is to see that once you get established, it is our business to see you growing, not to die. Because if you die, there is no need for us to be there. Because I'm paid by the government of Kenya to assist you. Our services are free for you. We don't charge anything at the moment. So finally, we look at the business environment so that we advise the government from time to time, whatever issues which are affecting investments, diasporans, we actually advise government so that they can change laws and regulations so that we can be able to attract more money from diaspora and attract money from FDI, foreign investors who are actually looking at Kenya. So finally, I would like to say that the government is doing everything. Balozi, I would like to tell them the government is doing everything. You can see the president running up and down to see that we build infrastructure, we build all the roads and the housing so that we can be able to develop this country. I'm sure that since you are here, you will actually see and take back home the picture of the country. As he really says that the picture which most of our diasporans are carrying is during those time of 1970s, 1980s. Kenya is different. And it's developing. It's loved by the whole of Africa. It's actually the fastest developing country in the whole of Africa. Thank you.
Thank you much, Pana Rotich. I shall also treat that as your final word. I want to give the panelists 30 seconds each to give their parting shot. We begin from NSC.
Thank you very much. I think I want first of all utilize my 30 seconds by giving my number so that people can be able to reach me. My number is 0722 752 992. 0722 752 992. Then just to give you confidence that as diaspora people, the investment opportunities that are being talked about in these panels are real. As an exchange, our work is to create that enabling environment. When you talk about, my sister talking about the diaspora bond, I am sure that's something that if you bring that as a challenge to the exchange, it will be done within a month. We have raised money for the government in the past using these special purpose bonds. So don't worry when we say that these investment vehicles are safe. And also in terms of matching, if you're coming to the Kenyan environment, one of the key things that we are very strong at is doing something we call diagnostic of business opportunities. We shall give you neutral information that will enable you make your investment decision. And the ministry, thank you very much for inviting us. Maybe next time we shall be partners so that you can have a longer time to interact with these people and share more of what you are doing for the diaspora community. Thank you very much.
Steve.
Thank you, Barozi. I think for me is a passing shot with a twist. We always think diaspora is that he has to bring money to Australia to here. I was talking to the gentleman from Scotland, Jogona from UK. As a Ministry of Diaspora, we are very diverse. You have someone in Zambia who is diaspora. You have someone in Saudi who is diaspora. You have someone in US who is diaspora. Can you consolidate? Jogona there from US, the other guys from US, consolidate us, because we can't consolidate ourselves. And we're able to bring more money if you have a group from US, remember Professor, a group from Australia with all the same purpose. Us as a chamber, we can't do it because we have a different direction. That's one suggestion. Second one, coming from private industry for 30 years to work in the government was one of the hardest things to do. Is there a way you can settle, especially in the government, our own diaspora? Because we are passionate to give back home. I came back not for money, and no one could pay me. I came for passion to change my country. But the resistance you get, you hear words like we have seen Dream Team before, and you get tired in 5 years. I know Barozi have given us just a couple of men. The former head of civil service reminded me one thing. By the way, he was diaspora. Government does not do business. government is to facilitate business to do business. But Rosie and I in Australia, we are first one to make sure that accountant can leave Kenya and come to Australia. We're only doing one unit. We signed MOU with the ISPAC and the CPA Australia. That could only happen that when a private industry and chamber like us were able to join government. Now we are seeing where government is coming to Australia to try and do business. I think now that's where now it become murky. We have been there for a long time. We know how things work. Because when you mess it, you leave the mess with us. They'll be saying, you didn't inform your people that this is not the way you conduct business in this country. I think that also in terms of diaspora one-stop shop, somewhere, Equity used to have a very good office in Kilimani. They crossed it, they brought it here in Upper Hill. You cannot even go in there. You need to get your ID, you get this. If you form a diaspora one-stop, set up a place where diaspora doesn't feel like they're gonna be mugged, or somewhere that you can access easily. Because you are here for 2 weeks, sometimes some of us, you need to have a very proper access. And lastly, we are always, Barozi know me for many years, we are here to give, we are here to help our country. Just talk to us, one phone away. I'm not gonna give you my number, but we can talk later. Blue Barozi.
Thank you, Steve. Your number to share too, don't worry. Lucy, quickly, and then we finish with Banaireri.
Thank you, Balozi. And my closing remarks would be the future of diaspora remittance. As we've been told, it's the largest foreign exchange earner in the country, is beyond consumption, which has been taking about the 80%, and the investment going to get in around 20%. We are looking at converting the diaspora remittance into productive investments for national development and also for your own personal growth. So that when you come back to Kenya, or even your people here in Kenya, they don't have to, you don't have to wonder where to start. And even for your people, you don't have to keep sending them money to consume. They'll have something that keeps them going. They don't have to keep calling you every now and then. And the Diaspora Investment Support Office has been set up to help you so that you can, to make your investment journey in Kenya easy, to ensure that you have safe, informed, and impactful investment in Kenya. Karibuni Kenya, tujenge nchi pamoja.
All right, so for me, Balozi, I'll be very quick. First and foremost, let me talk on the Equity Group side, and also I'll talk as an individual. On the Equity Group side, one of the things as a diasporans, I feel the frustrations of Mzee, all those. So I came with those frustrations for us to change banking and how investments are done. One of the key things that we've done with the Equity Group when it comes to building trust is de-risking your investment. And how we de-risk your investment is we put our own money into it. So if you want to buy an apartment, you want to build, instead of you just going directly to the builder, we have vetted builders, we have vetted lawyers, and what we do, we'll put our money first. Then you pay us back. So that risk has been, we've de-risked that. When it comes to trust, it's our own money that you've put first. So of course, we know there is risk where you might not pay us if the product is not good, right? So we've done that. We have 4 licenses in the Kenyan subsidiary. So we have the banking license, we have the insurance license, we have the investment license, and we have the Equity Group Foundation. We have combined these licenses for it to work for diasporans. One, that if it's a one-stop shop as well. You can have your account with us, we can invest for you. When it comes to investments, it's not just investing, but things like even trust, the planning for your wealth planning, we have that. When it comes to issuing insurance, we understand how insurance works. So we have looked at it this way. You can buy insurance for your mother, and can you have a portal where you can be able to log in and know even the medication, understand how the doctors are treating, what is the care plan of your parents? Because in diaspora, when I was there, my mother is sick. I had it's malaria, what medication are they getting? You Google, you find it's something different, right? Now that trust has come between you and the doctors, you and the hospital. We have 152 clinics right now, AFIA clinic centers. We're making them 24/7. We are having, right now we are mapping to see diasporans where they are and where they come from. Can we have a clinic close to your parent? So if we give you insurance, they can have things like limitless outpatient services. Their blood pressures can be checked, all that, sugars and stuff. So that is that. And then we have also looked at it this way. As a Kenyan, we want you to invest in Kenya, right? How do we partner with the government? We have a technology group. We have Equity Technology Group that we started as a subsidiary as well. Those who are in tech, fintech, whatever you want to partner with a bank, if it's having sandboxes for you to test anything that you want in Kenya, we can be able to let you do that, partner with you, not just in finance, but in everything else that you can be able to do. So for us, we don't look at ourselves as banking. We're a financial group. And we're offering those services to you and then opening the other markets for you. Invest in Kenya, yes. If you have other places where investments are really good, you want to tap into that as a Kenyan, you don't have to have all the bureaucracies as well in those other subsidiaries that you're in. You can just go through us once. And then on the issue of governance, this is on a personal level. Diaspora has the power to change. And listen to me, Diaspora has the power to change governance in this country. And how do you do it? You might not vote for the senator, the MCA, and all that. But the power that you have in your family to influence, to give them civil knowledge, to make sure they understand what it is, that is the power that you have to change this country. So if you have people in government that you feel they're not reachable, they cannot attend to your people, then you educate your people so that they don't sell their vote for 1,000 shillings. I told somebody, when you sell your vote for 1,000 shillings for 5 years, that is 50 cents a day. So are you living on 50 cents a day? So that is the power that we have as diasporans, is to educate our people, to give them that civil knowledge of how government works, what we've seen, how we need it change, and that is the influence that you have. Thank you.
Thank you much, and I'm ready. I thought you were going to stand up and tell the people, I need your vote.
I already
have lost the opportunity.
No, I have their votes because this Senate seat is for diaspora. Mukikata, mutafungiwa nje.
Asante sana. Please join me in appreciating these lovely people. Asanteni sana. Thank you. Asante sana. Come, this gentleman wants a quick group photo. As we take the photo, please, the next panel, Professor Mwenja, Irene Karari, Ian Kenji, Dr. Martin, please, karibieni. Thank you. Very much. Our next, as our team settles, when I was talking about whether you can hear me, no, please. This husband went to see his doctor to complain that lately he's not been hearing very well what his wife is telling him. So the doctor tells him, next time you go home, keep moving closer to your wife and asking her what you'd like. So one day he goes home, he knocks on the door, and he asks the wife, what's for dinner? And he hears no one replying. So he moves closer. Honey, what's for dinner? Keeps moving. What's for dinner? Finally, he gets at earshot. And the wife tells the husband that I've told you 12 times that we are having chicken. So the problem was the husband could not hear, not the wife. The wife wasn't the problem. But let's get to more serious issues now. Naona hamjasikia hiyo maneno. Maybe ukifika nyumbani ndio utacheka hiyo joke. Especially when you look at your wife or husband. Now, we're here to talk about skilling Kenyan talent and the place of diaspora in a rapidly changing and dynamic world. The other day we were being told that there are 1 million job orders that Kenya has received in the last 1 year, but the uptake has been very low. Yet, as a country, we are spending 30% of our budget on education. Are we educating people on the right skills? Where are we going wrong? The opportunities are out there, but the uptake has been very low. So with me here, I'll expect everyone to introduce themselves very shortly, briefly, say who you are, what's your experience, and what you do. Thank you.
How are we all doing, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, PS Rosalind Jogu, and the department. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Ian. I'm a Kenyan who's born in South B, a ghetto baby, and I'm from Nyeri, and I left Kenya in 2002 when I was 4. So I was away in the United Kingdom for 25 years, consecutively, 25 years straight. And yeah, I was fighting a good fight, but we've come back nyumbani, you know, Kenyan home. So yeah, a little bit about me. I'm an academic in a UK university, the University of Glasgow, and I'm doing a PhD on the topic, which is encouraging returnee entrepreneurship for development by leveraging the Kenyan diaspora. So really I'm looking at how can we evolve from just having a policy, how can we look at having a program, some of the discussion points, you know, a formal structure. How can someone like me come home and it's smooth without people calling me wazungu or, you know, asking me to buy them lunch and, you know, things like that. How can we, you know, bring value to home? So that's basically about me. I'm also working on a tech platform online. So I'm working on a few projects, which I could talk about.
See, I think, no, that's not working. Yeah, good evening. My name is Professor Mwenja, and I have a long journey. I won't tell the whole story, but I think I'll abbreviate a little bit. I spent 35 years in the US in academia, work and consulting. The last 10 years, I was a vice chancellor for 10 years. Then I moved back here about 13 years ago. My journey has taken me both from academia to being the CEO at Mater Hospital, being the chairman of the Central Bank of Kenya Pension Fund for 6 years, which I just completed in December. And if I can brag, we say the pension fund of Central Bank is the best managed pension fund in Africa, 160% funded. We are the first fund in the country to successfully do a post-retirement medical fund where our retirees don't have to spend a penny on their health care for the rest of their lives. And that's a promise that I made in this hall in 2019 when I was appointed chairman by the then governor. And I told my retirees, you never have to worry about your paycheck. It'll always arrive on the 23rd for the rest of your life. And by the time I leave, you'll never have to worry about your medical care at all. That became a reality this year, last year, when we set up the post-retirement medical fund. And that gives you the power of intentionality. I'm also in the green space. And I work with a group from India to replace plastics with biodegradable materials. We'll be building the first factory in Ethiopia, hopefully next year. And we hope to do the same thing in Kenya, hopefully before the end of this year or early next year. So I'm in the green space. I am in education and healthcare. And part of what you're doing in the healthcare as well, we have a group from India. We are digitizing a level 6 hospital and a Kicc group. I think we'll be talking to you guys because we are looking for partners to partner with. We are digitizing a level 6 hospital into a digital platform that takes care of your healthcare throughout, from consultation to labs to the entire gamut, and bringing my CEO experience in a level 6 hospital to the digital world. So that has been my journey, and we'll be sharing some of the things that we have gone through over the last 13 years that I've been back. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam PS, ambassadors who are here, fellow diasporians. Good evening. My name is Dr. Martin Koyabe. I wear very many hats, but I'll just concentrate on a few. I do have roughly about nearly 25 to 30 years experience within the ICT sector. I have been quite involved in ICT since the 90s, if that says something about my age. We were among the first 3 engineers in the country to bring full internet in 1993 in October in this particular country. The names, for the purposes of history, it was myself, a gentleman called Paul Olendo, and Dr. Shea Muchodo. We used to work for Africa Research Center for Computing. We brought full internet in this country in 1993 using US robotics, those old modems, for those of you who can remember. And we made sure that Kenya was on the map in that particular time. After that, we then veered off in different careers. I've worked in the telecom sector for British Telecom. I then moved on to the Commonwealth, looking after roughly about 56 countries around the Commonwealth. And now I do in the world, and I do advise governments on cybersecurity and other elements in order to be able to be advised on what they need to do. Fast forward, we were involved in setting up the path towards the establishment of the Diaspora State Department. At that time, it was a Diaspora Ministry, which we were looking for. So some of you in the crowd, you remember when we were very busy trying to put together a roadmap of how the Diaspora State Department would be established. So we did that in 2020, 2021. We then moved on to work on specific pillars, and we are so proud that what we did at the time has now seen what we are seeing here as the fruits of the Diaspora State Department. I have also been involved in tech issues. I have been able to try and mobilize to find out how diaspora efforts can be able to benefit the ecosystem of innovation in the country. We are trying to work on what we call an engagement framework, and I know the PS has been very supportive with Ambassador Anne Wanjoy here, and even today morning I was talking to the PS of ICT to push to find out how the diaspora can leverage the innovation, the skill set, what our young diasporian is actually studying for his PhD. So we really feel indebted in this particular knowledge. And this was just because I attended a very specific course at Harvard Kennedy School looking at policy and innovation. And that inspired me to make sure that we can have a way that the diasporian effort that are in the room here can be able to facilitate and be able to return the brain drain into a skill circulation asset. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Balozi. My name is Irene Karari. I'm the Director in charge of Skills and Expertise Division in the State Department for Diaspora Affairs. Thank you, Balozi, for putting me in a panel where I'm the only non-doctor and non-professor, but We believe in the spirit of kujiamini na kujituma, so we will deliver when we are called for. So I have been in the government for the last 18 years. I started as an ICT officer in the Ministry of Fisheries Development, which is now under the Ministry of Agriculture, which is now the State Department for Blue Economy and Fisheries, or Maritime, I believe. And then again, I moved to State House, where I served in the ICT department for about 11 years. And of course, there comes a time when you feel you need to shift, or a paradigm shift happens in your career, and that is when I moved to the State Department, or the Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, and now I serve in the Skills and Expertise Division in the State Department. I'm glad to be here and to talk about skills. Thank you.
Thank you much, Irene. Irene, your goal is to outshine these doctors and professors. Uko ground, unaelewa maneno ya ground.
Yes, kabisa.
Unaelewa maneno mengine ya juju, so don't be intimidated. Thank you much. So unfortunately, panel 2, we will have to be a bit faster because the other group took a lot of your time. Ian, why is Kenya calling? And how more, because you're doing your PhD in matters of seeing how best countries can make use of their diaspora. So one, what's calling? And two, how can we make better use of these talented people here?
Yeah, thank you very much, Ambassador Kabir. So one, why is Kenya calling? I think we were past the sort of novelty of going abroad. Everyone knows about the uncle that went to the States and drives a Lexus, and that was way back when. But I think now we're at a time when, through digitalization, through the internet, we're more interconnected than ever. But I think also now is the time. I mean, I remember when we were in the UK and my mum used to make calls to Kenya, and calling cards were expensive. There was postcards, there was pigeons. You couldn't really get localized information like you can now. Whereas when I came to Kenya, I came on the Saturday, on the 11th of April, and I had my church on the next day, the 12th of April. And my mum was saying, how did you find a church? I said, I found it online. And there was a lot of, scratching heads. But I think one of the most important things that we need to really talk about at this moment, before we talk about the practical stuff like skills, is actually the mindset. A lot of people have said to me, why would you come home? What's wrong with you? A lot of people here in Kenya. When I was in the diaspora, a lot of people were also saying very cryptic things like, Kenya's a crime scene and all these weird things. And it was confusing, to be honest, because I hadn't been home. But in actual fact, it's about the mindset. When I was in the UK, my mother always emphasized on education. So I was always white collar. I was never really blue collar. And I think it really starts at home. How can we have a conversation about, if you're going to go abroad, let's know what we're going abroad to do. Let's figure out a pathway. Is it going to take you 3 years? Is it going to take you 5? Is it going to take you 10? Because the way you leave is the way that you'll come back. If you leave here and you do what I call Kenyan math, Mimi, I'm going to drive a matatu in the UK, it's £30,000, and then, you start doing the math. It's not really translatable 20 years later when you want to come back home. So really, we should be figuring out, where are you going? Are you going to study? Are you going to work? And if you are going to work, how can we assist you with the knowledge? Because you're entering into a system when you leave home and you go into these G7 places, and you tell people it's a system and they don't really know what it means. So I think first, we should really start the conversations. Maybe we do a conference every year for those that want to go abroad, and those that are well-traveled like us can assist our people. But I think when you then do go abroad, you should remember that you're leaving an emerging economy in the global south, and you're now going to probably a G7 nation. And if you're going to a G7 nation, then you should really upskill, because if you upskill, it can allow you to come back home. Whereas if I go and drive, Boda Boda or Matatu in the UK for 20 years and I make loads of money, after some time I might want to come back home, but then the money that I'll earn back home might not be translatable to what I was already used to. So I think we need to have conversations about mindset, and when we then do go over there, we should upskill ourselves. I think that maybe there could be some initiative from the department where we could have a database of expertise, real skill sets, like a skills audit, people that know their stuff, so that the government and our country can harness our citizens abroad and the skills that we've inherited. And just like Dr. Kayambi said, one where we can leverage the skills of our citizens abroad and encourage brain circulation as opposed to brain drain. And I'll finish on the point that, a lot of people have said to me, oh, you're a diaspora and things like that. You've made loads of money, but I've told people I don't really identify as a diaspora. I identify as a citizen abroad, and now I'm a citizen at home. But as a citizen abroad, I'm not defined by my money, because a president could come in tomorrow and do a 30% remittance tax, and that pipeline is gone. But in actual fact, the skills I've learned, the networks I have, the information I've accrued are what is the most valuable thing, because information is currency.
Then Machian, mindset, it's all about the mindset and reskilling and ensuring that your skills are right for the market you're going for. I love your proposal that we do a database of our skill sets and what do we have, where is it, how can it be best utilized, is it being utilized even locally? Santi. Professor Manja, you've got a long history. Private sector, public sector. What more can we do as a country to ensure that we are equipping our people with the skills of today? And how can we work more closely, especially between training institutions and private sector? There's no need to churn out so many people. As I said, 30% of our budget is going towards education, but are we making the right decisions? Are we training the labor force of tomorrow, not just to serve in Kenya, but to serve abroad? Asante.
Thank you, Rosie. I think to answer that very quickly, a short journey. When I came back after being a vice chancellor for 10 years, the first thing I wanted to do was to start a university, naturally. Then I went through the rigors of the Kicc, the Commission for University Education, the whole thing. I was told, get 100 acres, get enough libraries. So I went back to the US and I brought like 8 containers of textbooks and all of this. And then after that, I realized Kenyans don't read that much. And they say, if you want to hide something in Kenya, put it in the written word. They're not going to find it. So I started to realize also that, because I look at data from 2000 to 2010 for those 10 years, then I realized 100 kids that entered class 1 in 2000 is only between 8 and 10 of them will enter the university. True statistics. So my question was, where is the other 90% or 88% of these kids? And I went back to the American story, because the American industry is not driven necessarily by the universities. It's driven by the community colleges that train en masse a whole bunch of people who become the small businesses. And the people who create jobs in America is not the Walmart and the Elon Musk. It's a small and medium-sized enterprises. And that's where I've been championing also at the central bank with other folks who do the investment in terms of putting up money to support SMEs, because that's where jobs are created. Now, with that journey, I gave up the idea of starting a university and I went TVET and skills. Because I remember when I was in the US, in Vietnam, when I used to advise the Vietnamese government on some things through different ministries. And I remember when Samsung was closing their factory in China, when they came to Vietnam, the ministry in charge of industrial parks came to me and they said, how do we prepare for Samsung to come? So we got all the skill sets that they needed for every employee. almost a year and a half to 2 years before the actual coming date came, we built a college within the industrial park to impact on the skill sets that are needed by the employer when he comes. And I can tell you, I drew the plan for that school on a napkin, where in a bar where you're having shots with my Vietnamese counterparts. And it became a reality. That tells you the power of intentionality. Now, to come back to your question, actually I switched back now from university to skills. I have a TVET, among other things that I've been doing, I have a TVET that impacts skills. I have a center for skills development, which is what we are doing now, and actually mapping the skills that we need in this country for future employability. So we have to understand the nature of work and the nature of tomorrow's job. It's not what it used to be, that you have to have so many pieces of paper for you to tell somebody, I'm educated. No, we don't need educated people. We need skilled people who can provide the right skill sets for the right industry. Now, the nature of tomorrow's job, and this is something that I think the diaspora can help, in supporting specific skill sets. And that's why I said the power of intentionality, and I'll give you a list very quickly. Areas where I think the diaspora can help a lot, several areas. One is healthcare. And I've been in that space, and I'm also in that space in terms of training and all that. The next one is information technology, IT. And I don't know whether, is it Rono? My Rotich, I know Rotich is here. And I think we met in the last diaspora meeting. And I'll give you an example. I convinced some people from another country to close their BPO in another country to come and set it up in Kenya so they can take advantage of the special economic zone. And then to my surprise, they are told, you're not investing enough money and you're not creating enough jobs, so we won't give you that special privilege. The question is, it's not about the jobs you're creating, it's the impact that you're having and the ecosystem that you're putting together. So I'll be talking to Rotich once we get done. Number three, so number one is healthcare. Number two, information technology. Number three, AI, artificial intelligence. That's going to be the driver for the next wave of innovations that are taking place. Number four is cybersecurity. My brother here is in cybersecurity. That's absolutely crucial. Number five is engineering. And this is where we get the engineers that are trained in other countries. When they come to this country and they want to be registered as engineers, they go through hell. And Rotich, I think there we need to look at some of these regulatory bodies where they're talking about our engineers trained in MIT and others, and then they're having a hard time registering. And those are diasporans that I've talked to, and they're frustrated and all that. Number six is renewable energy. Those are skill sets that we can help. Number seven is agri and agribusiness, especially agri-tech. Number eight, financial services, manufacturing, and a creative economy. If we focus on those 9 areas of skill impact, and the diasporans can be able to help us with that, we can make an impact in the skill sets of this country, and this country can grow. We have to be intentional, we have to be deliberate, and there has to be money that is put in this. I was part of the first National Steering Committee on Education Reform that was appointed by Matiang'i in 2016. We are responsible for CBC, 844 to CBC. The problems we're having today is the problem we identified in 2016. And the biggest problem that we have is how we are funding education, is how we are looking at where should the middle school be. Is it going to be in primary school or high school? And that's where most of the investment was going. And I was just telling my brother this afternoon here, the kids who are in grade 10 today, and those are in grade 9, that's almost a lost generation. You know why? Because They didn't know whether they're in primary school or secondary school. So we have to look, and this is not a problem that happened now. It happened from 2016 all the way to 2021 when we are transitioning the first grade 6 students to grade 7 now in middle school. Are we together? So the power of intentionality is extremely, extremely important. We need the issues of reverse brain drain, and I tell people the examples that I give is South Korea, what happened in South Korea when President Park in 1967 decided that he needed South Koreans who are overseas to come and help the country to grow. He went through both reverse brain drain and reverse brain circulation. You don't have necessarily to come back. But the knowledge you have in those countries as doctors, lawyers, engineers, and professors and all that, let that knowledge come. So we create an ecosystem that allows that knowledge to come and percolate within our people. So we have a different idea of doing things, different ways of thinking. And those of you who interact with people from the diaspora, we try to be very open and sometimes a bit brutal with the truth. But because people call it the way it is. Those folks have spent 35 years on the other side. And by the time I was deciding to come back, it took me 4 years to come back. So those skill sets are extremely important for us to start looking at. That list of about 10. If we're going to develop industry in this country, if we're going to be part of the AI revolution in this country, those are areas that we need to, and we need skills. We don't need more education on the same. It's impacting the skills that are going to make it possible for people to be employable. Thank you.
Hey, Prof. That was heavy. And I'm happy that you sat in the committee of CBC. I think we've learned a lot as a country. The journey is not lost. But I wanted to add to your list of future skills in demand. I was reading somewhere. Number 1, analytical thinking and innovation. Number 2, active learning and learning strategies. Complex problem solving. Number 4, critical thinking and analysis. Creativity, originality, and initiative. Leadership and social influence. Nyinyi mnashinda kwa TikTok, mujue you're on that list. Social influence. Technology use, that's what we was talking about. Monitoring and control. Technology design and programming. Resilience, stress, tolerance, and flexibility. Especially healthcare, I think those are some areas.
Yes, on strike.
Reasoning, problem solving, and ideation. I don't know what that means, but ideation. It's a growth path. Thank you much, Prof. And maybe later you may want now to speak to the issue of how do we get the private sector working more closely with our institutions of higher learning to just ensure that we are producing. Maybe you may want to discuss that in your farewell comments. Dr. Ali, yes, members of the diaspora keep complaining that government we don't listen to you more. There's a distance, there's a trust element. What more do you think we can do as government to ensure that we create a win-win partnership, that your ideas are on board? What strategy do you have to influence government policy and decision making?
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ambassador, for that question. There are a number of issues that we need to look at, but let me try and demystify this for those of us who are here. When you look at the diaspora and the history of the diasporians, initially you were a dissident. You left the country because you didn't like the government and therefore you went away. Some of us who were not lucky were brought back and we know what happened. So the question really is a trust deficit. There is a huge trust deficit which we need to work on. And this has to take care of two things. One is the mind and the heart, and also the ability to be able to be truthful to each other, especially when it comes to government and diasporians. And thankfully, I think the State Department and of course the ministry and the government itself have tried very much to make sure that that trust deficit is reduced in many assets or in many facets. We also see that there is a fundamental gap and mismatch when it comes to how people are educated and what the education system demands. I think the previous panel, we saw two examples where the skills that are required in the field are not the same skill that are being taught in the institution. And a good example was mining. If we know that mining is an economic, it's going to be critical in our economy, then we should have had trained to be creative. We are not trained to think. You're trained to take instructions. And that is the difference between sometimes a private school and what we call a government or what we call a public school in some countries, where you have specific training that is intentional for instruction taking, because then you can be able to take instructions. Like you remember, those of us, you are being taught what are the parts of an insect, and yet outside there you're supposed to know exactly how to mine. So instead of being taught how to mine, you're busy saying, this is the antenna, this is the... and you can see the mismatch in those kind of cases. We also see that when it comes to the institutions, in Kenya today, 68 institutions in Kenya only have roughly about 1,000 professors, the likes of my colleague here. So that is a mismatch in terms of the number of a professor per student. Many of the students and comrades who are here, you'll agree with me, you are roughly about 200 to 300 people in one particular stream. So that is already a problem in education going forward. And then we see a gap in terms of the training. So I'm just trying to look at what are the foundations that are causing this mismatch. The gap that we have, if you look at the national AI strategy for Kenya 2025 to 2030, one of the key pillars in that strategy for AI is capacity building. When you look today in terms of how many of us here use different applications of AI, you'll find very few of us do that. So there's a gap. And that's why in one intervention, some of us have actually taken it among ourselves to set up what we call a capacity lab. And I think one of my co-founders who is seated here, John Mutunga, we have what we call an air lab, which is sitting at the School of Internet Governance, to train civil servants, as many as we can in the country, to have the skills that they require, because there's a gap in that particular space. Then when you look at retention, we can't retain our best, because number one, we don't appreciate them. And if we do, very few of them are appreciated. We don't pay them the best. And if we do, it's only at a specific level. And we don't appreciate what they do. Singapore, for example, took a very pragmatic approach. They said, we are going to pay our teachers the highest and the best salary. And they got the best teachers that they could, trained in some of them, what we call the Ivy League universities, to come and train their students. So you invest at the bottom level, because then you produce the best coming up. So we need to make sure that those who do what we call the foundational work, the teachers, the doctors, the parents, are given what we call the incentive in order to instill that discipline at that particular level. And then we come back to the issue of retention. We can't retain our best. If you look at the police force, when police employees are trained on forensics and other areas so that they can deal with cybercrime, what happens? They move to the banks, they move to the UN, and they move on, because the salaries cannot maintain that particular skill set. So we really have a mismatch when it comes to that. In terms of the interaction with the government, as the question said, we need what we call a trust deficit to be, of course, minimized. we are now working on what we call an engagement framework. And I think the professor and I were saying, should we actually have what we call a policy of engagement? We need an engagement framework that says, even if you're a diasporan from Australia, from Ukraine, from Russia, from South America, and you come in a collective form, there is a specific policy that will guide you in how you engage with specific agencies. Number one could be Konza, which is what I'm passionately trying to push so that we can have that, or any other type of agency that will benefit from your skills. There's also what we call a reverse mechanism, so that when you are there in the diaspora, of course, some of you are very comfortable, you don't have to come to Kenya because you are comfortable where you are, and why bother? The point is that if you have a skill, there has to be a mechanism that allows you to be able to provide a training for specific institutions. When I talked to the PS this morning for ICT, we discussed about how do we capacitate the hubs, the ICT hubs in the constituencies, meaning a diasporian could be able to sponsor or be able to be a partner of that particular hub so that you can be able to, for example, engage somebody outside who might want what we call BPO services. And that particular hub could offer the skill set because we have children and young people who are very skilled in those particular areas. So to come back to your question, Ambassador, there are specific fundamental areas that we need to look at. One, of course, as I said, is the trust deficit. There's also the issue about what we had from Ken Invest, a continuous engagement platform. Having a one-stop shop is a very good fundamental part of really breaking that trust deficit. The other issue is also the policies that we put in place. They have to be friendly enough to enable diasporians to be able to interact at various stages. We've also advocated, and I'm saying this with a very passionate voice, that the county level should have what we call a diaspora CEC. Why do I say this? Because think about it this way. You are from Mwea, Tabera, or Mwea, where they grow a lot of rice. The young people there, when they cut the rice, of course, those husks are left in the field. Then they use manual mechanisms to be able to bundle around those husks so that they can sell them to people who have livestock. You living in China, you might have seen a technology that actually can do that within a few seconds or mechanize that particular process. If the county government had a way of leveraging the taxation that you pay for an equipment that you want to bring for that particular group in your constituency, it will be a win-win. So therefore, we capacitate the local people and at the economy level because we've identified a technology that can work well for them. It can work in any other industry that we have. So I think what we are calling for here is that there has to be what we call a diaspora link from the state to the counties so that some of us can be able to engage with counties going forward, like I said by a previous speaker, where they couldn't know who is the representative of the diaspora at some point. So really, it's an issue of policy, it's an issue of trust deficit, but above all, it's us, the diasporians, to engage with the open door policy that the government has actually put across. So let us not be so suspicious. Some of us took the leap of faith. We have some scars to show, but we've gone through it, and here we are trying to advocate the same thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Daktari. Again, this trust deficit that we keep talking about, and basically skills. That's what we are hearing. So we've left the best for last. Irene, I'm sure you have a lot to speak. Tell us, how is the department positioning itself to position Kenya as a preferred source of labor? I know you're in charge of labor mobility. Secondly, as a country, should we feel guilty that we are engaged in a brain drain exercise, or are we in a brain circulation exercise? How are we balancing between our demands and the demands internationally? Then just lastly, One of the issues we've realized in this country, we have very educated Kenyans, but our soft skills are a bit wanting. You see this kid was left the University of Nairobi, where the PS, I think, studied. A fantastic CV, but meet him. He cannot even look you straight in the eye when you're doing an interview. A lot of interviews nowadays are being done online, through virtual. What's been done to empower youth? Because we have skilled, educated kids, but our soft skills are a bit wanting, because I don't think as a society we're giving it enough emphasis. We are here competing against the best and the best in the world, from India, from Philippines, from around the world. How can we ensure that this is ingrained in us as a society? So those three issues.
Thank you, Balozi. Quite a number of questions in one. It's very sad to sit in a panel and where Kenyans are being interviewed and really see them not being able to express themselves. Because we always say that a paper goes before you. Before Irene is met as an employee or as a potential diaspora, as a potential employee, her papers will go before her. So it's very sad when you see people not being able to write good CVs, and in this era of AI, people are not, Kenyans are not using that, the infrastructure that we have in terms of ICT and all that. So I once sat in a panel where Canadians wanted to hire Kenyans in the seasonal workers program in the Canadian market, and even saying the name, I think the moment a Kenyan sees a Muzungu, they are not even able to say their full name. So I think for us, we really need to emphasize or use technology, because we now have AI and CV builders that are in place, so that we come up with proper CVs that are able then to go before us and really promote the brand that we are as Kenyan. As I was sitting in the seat over there, I looked at the word panel written over there, and I was a bit shocked because it's even misspelled. And as a country, when we brand our Kenyan labor, we really talk about our well-spoken English language. We talk about being culturally, being able to integrate in other cultures very well, and we really need to invest and to tell our young people that they need to express themselves, to present themselves well as a Kenyan brand, so that then they're able to get these jobs that we are talking about. But even as we look ahead on how we can position ourselves as a country, we really need to invest in our education. When we signed the German agreement and we came back here with the very many jobs that we were promised by the Germans, and the jobs are still there, it's not like they're not there, we realized there is a gap between how we train here in Kenya and how the Germans or the European market train on the other side. So the issue of competency-based education training and the issue of dual training is what really the government is now putting in place, that our people are able to take up jobs in the European market or even in the global market. We really need to strengthen our certification processes. While we may really not go back into, already for us who went to school a long time ago, we now have what the TVET is calling the modularized training, where I can go and really upskill with a certain certification, then I'm able to be competitive in terms of the jobs that are available there. Another thing that we are finding interesting is, for example, what we have for the nurses. For Kenyans to be able to take up jobs abroad, we need to be able, and this is with the help of the diaspora and all over the country where you are, we need to be able to entice these other markets, for example, the American market, the Canadian market, for this certification that Kenyans have to go and spend time trying to get the certificate out there. If we can have these certifications here, so that then we shorten the time that we take to be able to be competitive like any other person who was trained in this country, we need to be able to do that. Have the certifications done here, so that when you're going to the labor market on the other side, then you're prepared or you're competitive like any other local in the market that you're going to. Something else that we have seen in terms of us being able to take jobs, and like you said, Balozi, there are so many job orders out there, and then what is the reason why we are not being able to take, is to probably maybe deviate a little from the bilateral labor agreements that we have been having and really concentrate on what we are calling the skills mobility partnerships. If a country is in need of nurses or healthcare workers, then we don't pursue the overarching global bilateral labor agreements. We specify or we concentrate on the skills that they are looking for. And I think with the help of IOM, that is what we are being trained to be able to negotiate for these kind of skills. Another thing that will be able to help us to take up jobs abroad is we realized we have not invested in languages. So jobs or markets that require that you have language skills, then we realize we don't have those kind of skills. So what we have done as a government is really to ensure that we have the capacity to teach and examine these languages. And a very good example is the German market, where we are now expanding the capacity through partnerships with universities and even bringing the private sector to open those training institutions here, examining institutions here, so that then our people are able to take up these kind of jobs. Even to leverage on the diaspora expertise, many of you who are in these markets and you know the doors that we can knock and how to knock, not just to knock, but even how to knock these doors, because there are places where we can't go and there are places that you can't go. So really is to have a win-win situation where you hold our hands as we hold yours, so that then we are able to open these doors. We will continuously promote the welfare and protect the rights of our people so that then they are comfortable in the places where they are working. If I don't know whether you're aware that we are also expanding our labor, where we are represented in terms of having our labor attachés, that they can also be able to continuously engage the private sector, the government in the countries where they represent, so that we can continue opening this market and taking up jobs there. We have also realized that our people are not able to really get jobs, and the issue of retention now comes in because of maybe improper or inadequate pre-departure trainings. And as a State Department, because we deal with the diaspora and they're telling us some of these things, what we have done is to really be intentional in training them on how to take up these jobs, how to go and integrate in these societies. But even as we speak about pre-departure training from our side or pre-departure orientation from the sending country, even the receiving countries must be able to have that welcoming culture, that they are able to know that the society is changing. I was in Italy some time back, and one of the Italian students said we have to be alive to the fact that in a few years to come, the Italians, the people who will be called Italians, will not look like Italians. They will look like, mixed race or even the black people, because that is where they are. They have labor shortage, and we have excesses on this other side or surplus on our end. And really much as we are pushing our people to be able to integrate into the societies where they're heading to or in the countries of destination, the country of, or the host countries must also be able to welcome the people, and so that they're able then to take up jobs and retention rates are high. The issue of brain drain is really not a brain drain as such, Balozi, and as you like saying, it is an issue of brain circulation. But then we always say that Kenyans should be able to live, to learn, to earn, and to return back home and return back the skills. And like you said, Balozi, 30% of our budget goes into education. I was looking at this year's budget, and 702.7 billion has gone into education this year. Really, we must also be able to reap back into all this money that the government is putting in place. So really is to also have our structures in place that the diaspora can be able to come back and give back to the society. Today we had a discussion about the national return and integration strategy as a country, because we have realized many of you want to give back. Many of you want to come back and give back, because of the skills that you have acquired out there. But as a government, do you have the right structures? And that has come in very strongly, and that is why we are coming up with a strategy that we're able to place you well. When you're here on leave, when you're here on sabbatical, and when you really just want to come back home, how do you then get integrated back into the society? And we reap from the education that the government puts in for you. And those are some of the things I think I would say we are doing as a government to be able to position ourselves. And we continue promoting the Kenyan brand. We have come up with a document called why hire a Kenyan? The Can Invest person who presented talked about why Kenya, why invest back in Kenya, but also for these countries of destination of our people, then why hire a Kenyan? We need to be able to brand our labor very well so that then we continue reaping, so that we are not just talking about the 5.01 billion in terms of remittances. Balozi, I would also talk about the mutual recognition of qualifications agreement, because we have realized, like in the Gulf market, we are not able to take up the skilled or the high skilled jobs. Why? Because we've always sold ourselves at this level. But this other market, it's like they want to get convinced that we have the right skills as a country, that we are not just domestic workers. We have engineers, we have teachers, we have doctors and all these other kind of high skilled skills. So one of the things we are pursuing as a government is mutual recognition of skills. And one of the diasporians said that the courier from Australia, that there was an agreement that was signed so that the accountants are able to move to the Australian market without a problem. Those are some of the things that we are pursuing consistently so that our skills are recognized, not just the low-level skills, but even the high skills, because we have these skills with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Irene. Why hire Kenya? Branding Kenyan labor. We spend so much amounts of money trying to brand our coffee, trying to brand our tea. Why is it so special? And yet our biggest asset as a country, where we don't have oil, we have lots of human resource. We really need to invest more to just brand. Those of you seated here who work abroad, you are the epitome of why people should hire Kenyans. You've got good attitude, you work hard, so you are the very reason why people should hire more Kenyans out there. I know it's 8:35. People are hungry. We've not had PS speak. Unless there's one very burning issue, somebody. Hey, that was very fast. But there's an issue that Mzee asked about donations that you make to the counties, to the hospitals. The other day we got some very clear guidelines from the Ministry of Health in terms of what kind of equipment you can donate. Because I think the ministry does not want us to be a dumping site of stuff that is not working. So I'll ask Laban to make whether it's a question or a quick comment, then 30 seconds, you guys to malizane maneno. 30 seconds is equals to 900 words, how many? 5 minutes. No. People are hungry, and PS are younger. And I need to have office space tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Balozi. My name is Laban Choguna. I'm from Nebraska in the USA, and Kenya ni home. I have a comment, probably a couple of comments that I want to make. Number one, it's about skills, and I think realizing the opportunities that we do have here. By 2050, 1 in 4 people on Earth will be African. 1 in 3 working age humans will be African. To me, when I hear numbers like that, I see opportunity. I say this because I'm also in the BPO space. I never even knew that Kenya has a national BPO policy until a few days ago. But those things exist. Invent, innovate, implement. One thing we really fall short on is the implementation part. We can talk up a storm in this country. People, government, everywhere, they can really talk. When it comes to implementation, unfortunately, we always fall short. Now, I've heard these guys speak about skills, and we don't have to reinvent the wheel. There are organizations, there are countries, there are entities that have gone before us and figured these things out. As diaspora, I've lived in the US for the last 26 years. So I've seen this repeatedly. And I think there are entities that would be willing to come here. But even me, as a diasporan, I will never tell them to come. Why?
because of the challenges that we have that we're not addressing honestly. And we need to do that. So we know that Kenyans are very, very good. Once they get there, what we've heard about their skill sets, their work ethic, all that is fantastic. The problem is, those people there don't know. So when Irene is speaking about branding, and then we do nothing, why? You've been talking about, I've had this conversation about branding Kenyan labor for 2 years, but I've never seen anything done. So that's a challenge as well, not only to SDDA, but to the entire government. Number two, I want to make an appeal to Kenyans in the diaspora. Nothing can be done without resources. These guys are always running around begging for money to do this, to do that. Why? Because to me, we're not taken seriously. I think this is the first government that has made a State Department of Diaspora Affairs. We're told we remit this, we have this, we do that. But when the resources need to come so that things like marketing Kenyan labor abroad can be done, there's no money. And they're not putting money towards it. This is my appeal. Reach out to your members of parliament, your senators, the cabinet secretary, everybody. This department needs resources, and they're not there. Okay, so personally, this is the only department in government I work with, because I've seen their honesty, I've seen them work hard, and really stretch that Kenyan shilling to try and do as much as possible. So I'm appealing to those people out there in the diaspora. These people need to take us seriously as far as government is concerned. So please appeal to those people. And then finally, this should be something that happens consistently. Tafadhali PS, najua nimesema hakuna pesa, lakini we need to do this a lot more. And not only with SDDA, ICT should be here, finance should be here, or treasury, you know, all this, even office of the president should be here. All these people should be here to hear from us and for us to engage with them. Asante sana.
Thank you very much, Laban. What work on Anzav, you guys? People need to eat and PS needs to speak. Please, 30 seconds. Nakuse. 30 seconds, then we invite the PS to make our remarks, then we can have some dinner.
All I've got to say is, yeah, let's try and look at maybe how we can make a diaspora program, a returnee program, how we can formalize that. I think it's important that we focus on success stories of diasporians so that we can also encourage people to come back home. Either you'll achieve the GDD, which is the Great Diaspora Dream, or you'll achieve the other GDD, which is the Great Diaspora Dilemma. I also think it's important that we don't sell off our people and have a pathway for them to easily return, because right now we have 4 million people abroad. Soon it might be more. How do we get our people to come back home? So as much as we send them away, let's make sure that we have a pathway for them to return. And on that last note, Kenya ni home.
Thank you. I'll be very quick. You asked me about how we can integrate the private sector in terms of skills development. The simple answer is adaptability. The private sector is able to adapt fast enough. When you go to the public sector, those guys are dinosaurs. They move so slow, and by the time you get something changed, you have a meeting after meeting, then a meeting to confirm the other meeting, and when you confirm that, you have the minutes now to be confirmed. By the time you get to do something, 2 years are over. And that's why the public sector can do what they do with the basic education, but the private sector, and especially in the TVET and skill development space, is where the money needs to be, is where the emphasis needs to be, so we can stop exporting labor and start exporting skills. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think mine is, one is a quick win that I want to suggest, and then 2 policy considerations. I think, Madam PS, this, as said by our colleague from the US, is a very important meeting. What we could do as a quick win is we could start from ourselves. The skills that we have, we could have thematic areas of discussion so that our good brothers and sisters at the State Department could benefit from the knowledge that is in this room. Almost over a century of knowledge is going to walk away. So I think there has to be a way that we could capture some of this skill set by putting some thematic areas of discussion. And we've got some good suggestions for you, and we can be able to do that next time. 2 considerations. What happens is, while 1 in 4 of Africans in 2050, or of the young people in 2050 will be an African, I think there's something that we are missing. If you look at everybody here, they have what we call children or children of children who do not have a Kenyan passport, they do not have a Kenyan ID, but they are Kenyans by blood. These will be the most skilled individuals in 2050, but they're not part of the Kenyan consideration in terms of the planning, because they don't have those things. So I think what we need to do is to look at the intergenerational conversation and how do we harness the skill that is sitting out there, highly trained, but not necessarily considering Kenya to settle. We've got a very young man here who has come in to do something, but we've got many of these children who are out there that do have very high skills that can be able to benefit the country. The next one is the issue around the policy. I think we've discussed an engagement policy to look at how we engage, especially when it comes to skill development, and we shall be working with the State Department to look at that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Balozi. So for me, I would conclude by saying the labor mobility must be ethical, it must be regular, it must be productive, and it must benefit both us as a sending country and both the countries of destinations that you're actually putting your skills into practice. So when we talk about skills, knowledge, and technology transfer, please come and be willing to give back home, because it must be a full cycle. It must be you living, it must be you learning, and it must be you earning and bringing back the skills by returning. And one of the gentlemen from NSC said that, don't just, he said bring back your money, but I would say don't just bring back your money, bring back the skills as well. We need them here to improve our systems, to improve how we operate as a country, and we are willing to work with you to find best ways of ensuring that your skills are put back to use. Thank you.
Asante sana, I think we can have our photo, and then, but can we appreciate these good people? Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for all your patience. It's now my pleasure. When we were initially doing the original program, PS was supposed to come at 7. And then she asked us, why don't you people want me to attend the panel discussion? Don't you want me to listen to the wisdom of the diaspora? So thank you so much, PS, for coming in good time to help listen to the good ideas of these people. I mean, I do not have to really introduce and say much about PS. This is somebody who is very passionate about matters diaspora. She loves you guys, genuinely. We see from her discourse, we see from her actions, she genuinely feels you. And thank you so much for all the leadership that you have shown. We also want to thank the many of you who have managed to join us online. This was being beamed online. Thank you so much for your time. So without much ado, let me introduce PS, who will also maybe acknowledge and recognize the leadership of the various. Okay, she wants to play a video first, then you can. Karibuni sana. Thank you so much. Asanteni.
result of what we have done, in the last 3 years, 540,000 Kenyans have gotten jobs abroad, and our remittance from abroad has increased by $1 billion. On matters diaspora, and given the immense opportunities being created through what I've just discussed, and working closely with the State Department of Diaspora Affairs, you should give it focus with a view to expanding new markets or expanding into new markets and new territories.
This initiative aims to ascertain the number of Kenyans in those countries because many do not go through regular channels and they do not register with our nearest mission required. At this stage, we would also like to discourage Kenyans from traveling to countries that are experiencing this conflict or turmoil. I also wish to assure you that the government of Kenya shall remain closely appraised of the development in the Middle East and is committed to protecting citizens across the world.
Hizi bombs imetuaffect huku, but we thank God that the government has come to rescue us, so we are excited to go back home.
They witnessed a lot of bombing and they have a lot of trauma.
Na kusema ukweli tumefurahia kujiona tumefika nyumbani, tumetoka mbali na kwenye tumekuwa tuseme tu ni mkono wa Mungu tu kuwa tu tunaona mchanga ya nyumbani.
Tungependa kushukuru sana State Department ya Diaspora ya Ministry of Foreign Affairs for all the facilitation in conjunction with the embassy in Tehran.
Napenda sana serikali yetu ya Kenya imehakikisha tumerudi nyumbani, yote yametokea.
Behind me you will see the second group that has arrived today, which is a group of 38 Kenyans, and earlier in the morning we received another group. So the government of the Republic of Kenya has successfully repatriated hundreds of Kenyans who were trafficked to scam compounds in Myanmar for forced criminal activities. Also here at the JKIA done pre-departure checks to ensure that people who are traveling on the guise of labor mobility are actually going on work visas and to ensure that they're actually traveling for work. Upon arrival, these survivors are going to be debriefed. They're going to be offered counseling services. They're going to be treated, those who require treatment.
Hapa ni Diaspora.
Good evening. Do not worry. I know I am standing between you and dinner, and many people in this room. There are very few Gen Z in this room. Most people are starting to feel very sleepy. They're wondering why they're out past 8 p.m. And so on. At least that is what is going on among my friends and people my age, and we are wondering why we are out this late. Okay, I'm trying to get this to work. We ran that video because they say a picture does what? Right, so I will be reducing my words significantly because we've already shared what we've been able to do in the last 3.5 years. But let me thank you all for gathering here this evening. It's a real pleasure to see you. It's a real pleasure to see those of you who've come home. So welcome home. Okay, welcome home. We are happy to have you here. Karibuni nyumbani. And let me thank my team and the organizers for putting this together. I'm really proud of you and very excited to work with you. Let me also thank the leadership of the Diaspora, specifically the team or the leaders of the delegation that have come down to Kenya for this season. I recognize Sam Rono, I recognize Masika Manja, I also recognize Dr. Koyabe from the Diaspora Technical Working Group. Before you kill me, I know you're all leaders in your own right, so I recognize all of you diaspora leaders. Asanteni sana kwa kuja nyumbani, karibuni tena na tena. All right, so it's a real pleasure to be here, to reflect with you on this Invent, Innovate, and Implement Diaspora Conference and Dinner. Allow me, from the very outset, to bring greetings from His Excellency the President, who is a big supporter of not just Diaspora, but Diaspora conferences, and had specifically asked that we hold this, so please accept those greetings. But also, yes, please, you may clap, thank you. But also allow me to convey the warm greetings and apologies of our minister, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, who very much wanted to host you and very much had wanted to be here, but had to leave. You might have seen on social media that he's been in Seoul, in South Korea, on an official visit, and so he's unable to be here with us. But again, I'm grateful for us all to be able to come here and speak together. I'm very tempted to walk away from my written comments and get in a lot of trouble with my team, but I'm very tempted, and I'm the boss, so I'm gonna do exactly that. Okay, so. I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay. I want to talk about what I really want to talk about. And what they had written for me is really good stuff. It also has to do a lot with what we have seen here today. So I want to take a couple of minutes and just talk about some things that some of you have heard me speak about before, which is the promise of the diaspora. If you have already heard me speak about this, especially the women I was with in the morning, please don't give away okay? All right. So I want to speak about 2 or 3 diaspora stories. And for a lovely dinner, I want to ask some questions. Can you tell me what of serious significance happened, of global significance happened around 70 AD, something of global significance that happened around 70 AD. My team, put your hands down. 70 AD. 70 Anno Domino. Sorry? Are you saying Stone Age? Are you serious? Historians. Oh, thank God. Yes, in the back. The collapse of Rome, Not quite. Not you, Mercy. Anybody else? Sitaki kuambia, we jaribu. Yes.
Something to do with diaspora.
Yes, it is a big significant moment in diaspora.
Okay, total guess. But I think the Jews were moved into Europe or something.
Okay, so B plain to B minus, but I'll take it. Okay, so it was the sacking of Jerusalem, right? So Rome overran Israel, as it then was, and Jerusalem, and scattered the people who lived there. And they remained scattered for the next, yes, for the next almost 2,000 years, right? Until the state of Israel was re-established on the territory where it currently sits in 1948. How is it possible for a nation to exist where there is no territory? Scholars of international relations, of international law, will tell you that one of the critical elements of a state is what? Is territory, isn't it? And yet you have a state being, quote unquote, reborn after some 2,000 or so years because of the power of the diaspora. The entire state existed for almost 2,000 years purely in its diaspora. Why is this important? Diasporas have the capacity to carry ideas, culture, nationhood, religion, whatever it is that makes a nation, and carry those things completely in the diaspora for years and give the promise of rebirth. Okay? First story. Second story. How many of us here have had or have had a friend or family member or know somebody who has gone to India for treatment? Okay. Many of us can agree that the Indian healthcare system is pretty good. What maybe all of us might not know is that that healthcare system was actually built by their diaspora, using diaspora investment, diaspora skill, technology, transfer. So the two panels that we just had here on investment and on bringing back skill, knowledge, and technology transfer, and have built what is now one of the largest and most important healthcare systems around the world. Okay? Third story. When I was growing up, when people wanted to be rude to you, it might be a function of where I come from. When you said something that was irrelevant, they would tell you, how does that affect the price of? Who? Okay, yes, cocoa in Ghana, right? They would ask, how does that affect the price of cocoa in Ghana? Because everybody knows that cocoa is a pillar of Ghana's economy, right? We all know this, yes? Do we all know this? Okay, we all know this. But did you know that some 150 years ago, cocoa was actually introduced into Ghana by, there you go. I see now now you're getting it, yes. By a returning diasporan. They smuggled it in, but that's neither here nor there. And that's how an entire industry grew. Why am I telling you these stories? We are who we tell ourselves we are in many ways, but also people, nations, communities, civilizations are a lot about the stories they tell themselves about who they are. So, this is what diasporas around the world have done. They have caused the rebirth of a nation. They have built a world-class healthcare industry. They have built an entire economy. And we could talk about, what Korea has done. We could talk about what China has done. We could talk about various things, various other countries. There are many stories. There's a story of the Ethiopians and their Grand Renaissance Dam and all of these stories. This story that I'm telling usually ends with me asking, what is a story we are going to tell about Kenya's diaspora? The person who has my job in 30 years, or a person who has a job like mine somewhere in 30 years in another part of the world, should be able to include Kenya in a story like mine and say, do you know X about Kenya? Do you know that the tech industry in Kenya, for example, was built by the diaspora, and so on? This is my challenge to you. Challenge accepted? Challenge accepted? Okay. We can call that the KICC declaration. Challenge accepted. I'm excited to be having these conversations. All the conversations that we had, all the panelists and the dreaming and the reflection and the we need to do better at this and we are not doing so well at this, and those reflections, because it is in moments like this that we are able to grow. But it's also in moments like this we are able to speak with ourselves and say, I would like us to do this better. Perhaps this is not working. Let us abandon this and proceed. So I'm grateful, truly, to be a part of this conversation. I'm grateful to be able to sit here and challenge us and ask us, what are we going to be known for? I'd like to hear some suggestions. Where's the team from Uganda? Kenyans from Uganda? Just to raise your hands, I know you're here. Some of you in the past have told me we're going to be known for banana wine, and so on, and various other things. I want you to discuss among yourselves and decide what that's going to look like. But I want to end my remarks with an invitation. I have a lot of fun in my job. Many of you probably already know this. I think it's fairly obvious. I really enjoy this. And I've had the opportunity to speak with many people who do what I do in other parts of the world. And we share the same challenges. And when we sit, we talk about the fact that, diaspora never register. Diaspora are so suspicious of government, they will never give us their information. It's not just you, it's diaspora around the world. We know, when we sit in our back rooms, we talk about, but you already know you're doing these things, right? Well, we talk about these things and so on. But one of the things that we have tried to do as Kenya, and I think we are having a lot of success at, is actually changing how the world around us looks at its diaspora, how it responds to its diaspora, how it structures its programs for its diaspora. We've just now at the EAC pushed as Kenya, and we've had a lot of success with our neighbors to create an EAC diaspora policy, which I believe we're going to be passing in a few months' time. By the end of this year, it will have passed through the EAC. You can clap for us, clap for us. Okay. So, but what am I trying to say here? Kenya wants to lead as far as diaspora is concerned from its heart. Why? We have had a change of direction over the space of several years. I'll give you a very quick history lesson. Today, as I was training some diplomats who are about to go on posting, I told this story that 30 years ago, probably, if how many of you, where's the team from the UK? And why you in, I've seen some of you. Did you ever go to the High Commission 30 years ago? In those days, we probably were not very friendly to diaspora. Have I lied? Yeah? Some time back, you were probably considered dissidents. But it's part of the journey of the diaspora. If you were to trace Kenya's story with its diaspora, maybe we could go as far back as our grandfathers going to fight in the world wars in Burma, in Abyssinia. Some of you, your grandparents fought in these wars, yes? No? Yes? My grandfathers did, yeah? And were those our first moments in the diaspora, perhaps, right? That's part of our migration story. Shortly after that, you had people like Jomo Kenyatta and others who would go to the UK and do some studying and stay there, and those were sort of some of the beginnings of the colony of Kenya and its subjects beginning to interact with the rest of the world, right? So early beginnings of the diaspora. And then, you know, closer and closer to the moment of decolonization and the birth of the Republic, then you begin to see the Eliud Mathews and the others sort of going to, again, to the UK quite a lot to discuss how we're going to decolonize and all of that. And then around the birth of the Republic, we see something very interesting, organized airlifts. Yes? So you start seeing the Mboya Kennedy airlifts, where you had lots and lots of people beginning to move to the US in particular to go and study. And part of those were actually Obama Senior and the others who went on those airlifts. And then we enter a period of that really created the train tracks on which the US diaspora probably has traveled on, which is this idea of people going away to school. Then the 70s, perhaps the 80s and closer to the early 90s, as we started to struggle towards multipartyism, we started to see an era of political migration, right? Exiles, right? People left because they did not agree with the government of the day. And then when I was growing up at some point in the maybe mid-90s, we started seeing a return of people going back for something we used to call Akina Sam Ireri, further studies. And he said it exactly how we used to say it in those days. You went away for further studies, as we used to call it. Okay. And that sort of went on. And about 10, 15 years ago, we entered a different mood. All of these tracks still exist, but we entered a different mood, which we are now seeing a lot of labor mobility, and Irene Karari has spoken about it, right? You start to see something interesting happening here in the Middle East that wasn't happening before. People are not going to their traditional spaces in the US, in the UK, in Europe, Canada, Australia. Something new is happening here. But as all of these things all of these movements are happening, we also have changes that are happening here at home, legal changes. The biggest one would be the 2010 Constitution, right? The lawyers among us will tell you that it was a 20-year process to create the 2010 Constitution, at least. It was a people-led movement. It was very exciting. You have women sitting under trees and coming up with what are our rights going to be, and then telling lawyers, you guys go and write it up just the way we've told you. But the 2010 moment came with expanded rights. It redefined many things. It redefined being Kenyan, but in many ways it redefined the space of diasporas. Why? It created for the first time dual citizenship. Suddenly, we couldn't think of you as a dissident anymore. We have to change our posture. Government must change its posture, its language, its understanding of its subjects or its citizens. Because now, just because you have moved to the Netherlands and are living and working in the Netherlands does not mean that you hate your motherland, right? So, and then this required that governments begin to change how we think about who our citizens are. But that 2010 constitution came with many other things. Some of the right, of course, apart from the expanded freedoms and rights, for the first time, Kenyan women, Kenyan wives, could grant citizenship to foreign husbands. Right? Until that point, it only went the other way around, right? But now suddenly Kenyan wives could grant citizenship to foreign husbands. Again, the diaspora is expanding, it is growing. Kenyan women could, as of right, grant citizenship to their children born with a foreigner. And these children do not have to apply for, naturalization or whatever, but as of right, they are Kenyan citizens. So these are expanding rights. And many other things, like the right to vote in the diaspora and so on. Alongside that, you have stuff that's going on at the AU, where we are creating a new vision for the African diaspora, and other countries are beginning to do exciting things with their diaspora. What does this mean? In terms of posture, in terms of how government responds, how it views its citizens, then you begin to have a shift, right? Not dissidents, but citizens with rights in need of protection or facilitation, right? People to engage with, people you should have an engagement framework for. And that has changed how government sees the people in this room. We as a society have changed our own story about how we see the people in this room, how we serve them, what officers like myself are expected to do, where budgets and money go, and that kind of thing. But all of these things begin with a story. The stories we tell ourselves about who we are. It takes me back to where I began. When we have all gone and we have rested, what is the story of this diaspora going to be? What will this diaspora be known for in Kenya's story? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Ambassador Anne Wanjohi, I am hoping you are coming to invite people to dinner.
Yes.
Otherwise, I am going to commandeer the thing and invite them.
But I want to pass a vote of thanks.
Okay.
Please.
Yes, please.
Thank you, PS. So PS, Roslyn Jogu, colleague ambassadors, diaspora leaders, led by Sam Rono, our organizing secretary, Mercy Kamanja, and our esteemed partners and our very informed panelists, and all the diasporans here, and the staff from the State Department for Diaspora Affairs, good evening again. Good evening. I know and I'm pretty sure that I'm sitting between you and the dinner. But this event wouldn't have been this fun and this successful if it wasn't for the people I want to pass my vote of thanks to. So allow me to make these written remarks very appetizing so that it will be our appetizer. Our PS was able to put aside her written speech, but me, I don't have those privileges. Allow me to make it very fast and appreciate the people who made this evening a success. So as we come to the end of this wonderful evening, allow me to sincerely thank God for seeing us through the event and all of you for your presence, sacrifices, having traveled far and wide, your insights, and your continued commitment to Kenya, our motherland. Tonight's engagement has reminded us of one important thing, that no matter where Kenyans are, they live around the world, and connection to home remains deep and strong. We have had inspiring stories, fresh ideas, honest conversations, and practical suggestions on how the diaspora can continue contributing to the Kenya's development journey. The theme of this evening, Invent, Innovate, and Implement, is very timely. As Kenyans abroad, many of you are already inventing solutions, innovating in your professions and businesses, and implementing ideas that are transforming communities both here and abroad. The government deeply appreciates the role you continue to play around, not only through remittances, but also through mentorship, investments, technology transfer, job creation, and representing Kenya positively around the world. Thank you very much, our Global Chair, for taking this lead. We also appreciate that there are challenges that come with living and working abroad. But we assure you, and honestly, that the State Department for Diaspora Affairs will remain committed to strengthening diaspora engagements, improving welfare support, and ensuring that every Kenyan abroad feels heard, valued, and connected to home. Thank you. This evening should not mark the end of our conversations. Rather, it should strengthen the partnership between the government and the diaspora community. We encourage you to continue engaging with us, sharing ideas, identifying opportunities, and working together with the government to build a stronger and more global, competitive Kenya. Special appreciation to our Principal Secretary, my boss, for her stewardship in the State Department. This event could not have been successful without your guidance and excellent support, PS. May God bless you. To our dear diaspora leaders present tonight, thank you for continuing to unite and support fellow Kenyans abroad. Your leadership and patriotism make a real difference. And as a government, we shall continue to work together with you. I wish to thank and appreciate the well-informed panelists tonight, comprising of the panelists, let me not mention, but the ones who have been very instrumental in sharing ideas. We look forward for more interactions. Organizers, led by our own Ambassador Kabira. Our partners, all of you here, please keep engaging with us. And all the officers from the State Department for Diaspora Affairs. Most importantly, thank you for continuing to fly the Kenyan flag high wherever you are. Let us continue to invent opportunities, innovate solutions, and implement meaningful actions that will positively change Kenya's future generations. On behalf of the State Department, I wish you safe travels back. But before you travel back, I wish to announce that we still have programs that we had planned for you. Tomorrow we want to know who would be interested to visit the Kicc University. Simon is here representing the university, and we wish to collaborate and visit the Kicc, which has a technology park, which would be of interest to you. We shall also be visiting the affordable houses in Ruiru tomorrow in the afternoon, and I'm sure you'll be interested to visit and see what is happening in the country. Also on 4th, we shall be visiting Bomas of Kenya, which is turning to be a hub you'd be interested to visit. So please kindly let us know the numbers so that we're able to organize for transport. And without much ado. Kindly note that we still wish to thank you. And as I finish, I want to say that Diaspora has a chance to change governance in this country. That was said by our incoming Senator, Samireri. But that change will come through the State Department for Diaspora. Clap for that. That change will only be found through the government, through the State Department. Sisi ni serikali, na serikali ni aliye na macho haambiwi. Tumesimama gangari, tuwatumikie. Asanteni na Mungu awabariki. So, at this